Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We are back from Japan and I'm trying to pump through the Japan videos as much as possible. But we are at Matt's work with the GTR on the hoist and a lot of all the stuff that I need to finish the car. So this is day 2, didn't film anything yesterday, put a whole lot of small stuff on the car, trying to get a lot of the fiddly stuff out of the way, and now we're trying to pump out more of the big stuff today. Got it up on the hoist yesterday, removed the rear subframe, it's over there. We've got a few things to button up on that. But it gave me an opportunity to run the fuel lines. I got the fuel tank back in. My exhaust shields, I got powder coated satin black, the front one and this one, so they're in as well. Just about ready for the subframe to go back in now. Fuel lines in, brake lines in. I've got some new brackets for the fuel lines and brake lines from Christo's Customs. I'll get them out in a minute and have a look at them, but I'll put his name on the screen. Trying to get all of underneath buttoned up today. I was trying to get a lot of the little stuff done yesterday, so we can get the transfer rebuilt. I don't know if I mentioned it in a previous video, but I've got a rebuild kit. We're going to rebuild the transfer, put an extra clutch plate in it so it locks up a bit better. Get that on the gearbox. If you remember, my gearbox went to Par in Sydney. This is a full built box from Par, so that should be very capable as well and be fine for the horsepower that I want to put out. So I've got everything here to get the gearbox and transfer built and back in the car, all the shafts. Want to get the intercooler on, but while it's up in the air, I removed the front knuckles and everything. So Matt's rebuilding the front wheel bearings as we speak. Then that'll go back on, hopefully once everything underneath is back in. The car will be rolling again and back on the ground for hopefully the last time. Like I said, just trying to pump out all the little fiddly things while Matt sort of does that. So get all these little odds and ends on, finalize all the lines, the drain for the catch can, get everything mounted underneath, hopefully for the last time. While I've got the opportunity that it's on the hoist, having the car on the hoist just makes it so much easier. So seizing the opportunity on our holidays. It is still a few days before Christmas, really trying to get it running by Christmas. That was the goal. But definitely running these holidays while we've got some time off work. So I'm going to jump straight in, get these on, get these all finalized, get the front knuckles back on, and then get the rear subframe back in. All the Christo Customs billet brackets are all in. Extremely happy with that. Removed, cleaned the fuel filter, put that back in. All the fuel lines are now tight and mounted and in the car to stay. Just buttoned up the flex sensor, all bolted in, plugged in, and this is the drain for my catch can. Didn't have to remake it. It's quite secure now. I added another 45-degree bend just so it's got a bit of a tap above rail height, but with the service can still reach it and open it. So that's into stay now as well. I do want to get in and finish these power steering cooler lines, but to do that I need to put the intercooler pipe in just to make sure it's not going to interfere. So I'm going to mount the front mount, put this intercooler pipe on, then I can finish these lines, get them done, get them blown out clean, put them on just while Matt finishes the front bearings. And then we'll get the front back together and just chipping away all underneath. All right, cooler Rio all rough mounted. I've got the Rio all the way up and back, giving me as small amount of room as possible. I'm going to try and put my horns in behind the intercooler as well. Now with this rough mounted, I can see how much clearance I got around the cooler pipe and where I want to run these power steering hoses. So I've just drawn myself a little bit of a diagram. I'm going to start making all these lines, then I can get them cleaned on to stay. The intercooler pipes are just rough mounted for now. We won't tighten them all up until we get the gearbox in and get the motor secure exactly where it's going to sit. So I'm going to start getting all these power steering lines done, and then we can start putting the knuckles back on the front. All right, lines roughed out to the right length. Unfortunately, one of these fittings stripped, so I have to get another fitting. Just put the cap on the back of the res for now. We won't need this one because obviously I've deleted the HICAS with the pump rebuild. And once the motor's all finalised in the right position, we'll set the AC, and then I'll have to make a little line there. So that'll do for now, roughed in. Once they're all finished, obviously I'll remove the lines from the car again. They'll get blown out, cleaned, etc., and then put back in for the last time. For now, I'm going to jack the front back up and get the fronts back on. I want to change my pads. So these are race pads, and driving it on the street, I never quite got it hot enough. So coming home late at night, they just squealed. So I'm going to put the street pads in. They're brand new in a box, so I'll put them in. I want to get the fronts back together. Matt is in the process of rebuilding the transfer case. Like I mentioned before, we bought an extra clutch plate. He's in the process of doing all that, watching a tutorial on YouTube. Get that back in so it locks up a bit better. We're going to jump back in, get the front end together. Hopefully this afternoon we can get the transfer on the gearbox and get that in. Like I said before, just trying to throw as much at the car as we can, get it together, get it rolling, get it out of here. Alright, both the fronts are back together. Given them a quick clean and put the street pads in. All bolted up. I've even done up the fuel lines for now, ready for bleeding later. So the front corners are essentially back together. Hopefully can stay together now. Matt's got the transfer case all pulled apart, all cleaned, ready to go back together. Obviously, like I said before, we're adding another clutch plate now. Just trying to make it lock up a bit more. And we've got a brand new Altezza switch, all sourced from Kudos. Whole rebuild kit for the transfer case with the extra clutch plate and Altezza switch. I think was about 800 bucks, give or take, don't quote me. Now the front end's all back together. The next thing is to put the rear end back together. So obviously the rear subframe is still out for two reasons. When I pulled the car apart, I noticed that this rear HICAS bar was bent, so we have a brand new kit to go on. But also we're going to change the accumulator or the nitrogen canister for the Altezza. So these are full of nitrogen. When the system's under pressure, the nitrogen keeps the system pressurized for whatever reason. If the Altezza system stops to work, it's generally for two reasons. It'll be the actuator switch, which we're replacing anyway, and all this. So while the subframe's out, we've got a new one of these to go on. Just trying to make sure that the all-wheel drive is working to the best of its capability, trying to put power down, don't want it to slip, etc. So, brand new accumulator, again from Kudos. Don't quote me, I think they were like $600-700, something like that. So that one will go on top of there. And also got a brand new hard race rear HICAS kit from Kudos as well to replace this Gearbox one that's obviously bent. So we're going to get this on, we're going to get the accumulator on, and then the rear cradle can start to go back in the car. Rear end all back together. A little bit of a job, but got a press tool. You would have seen that I basically released the corner. Probably could have taken it out and put it in the press. Didn't know how I was going to hold it in the press. So with the tool and a socket, a 34mm socket fits straight over the ball joint, and I managed to push it through, and then it went in sort of easy as well. New actuator canister thing back on. I did see a comment online, someone saying they undid theirs and it blew across their garage. So half of it is obviously the hydrogen canister. I'm pretty sure it's hydrogen canister. And then obviously there's oil in there. So this is still going to be full of gas. And then this screws into this bit, which is obviously where the fluid is. So one would think that with the pressure release valve underneath, if you sort of released all the pressure and you unscrewed it from here, the gas shouldn't come out. We noticed this was starting to spin, and then we used an air chisel to knock it out. You might be able to use an oil filter remover tool or something like that, but that is on. The HICAS delete kit is now fully in. So now this is all back together. This is ready to go back in the car as well. Whole rear end in, brake line's all done up, all the arms done back up, coilovers in, did the Alteza, handbrake cable, etc. You just saw that. So that is all in except for the fuel neck and obviously the tail shaft. So moving back down, gonna get the clutch and flywheel in now, gonna get the old spicker bush out, put the new one in, start getting the clutch on in preparation for this gearbox to go in. Slowly getting all these odd jobs scratched off the list. Transfer back on the gearbox, all buttoned up, all sealed, got the top covers back on, and we've put the GK Tech springs in there just so it's a lot stiffer when shifting with the gate. So that's pretty well ready to go in now. We're going to put oil in it and then we're going to put it in the car. Clutch and flywheel are all in. So like I said, we're going to get fluids in this box and transfer and then get this in the car, trying to get it all buttoned up. And reality is the gearbox is back out for the 4th time. We've had absolutely nothing but problems trying to get it in the car. I think it's one of the clutch plates. As we're putting the box in, I think it's moving and then we're fighting it, trying to get the gearbox in. We've now dropped the subframe 40 mil or so, changed stands, got a belly lift, just even on hoist, giving us absolute drama. Got someone else on the way now with another spigot bush, another alignment tool in case that was the issue. And just another set of hands. So hopefully we'll get the gearbox in, get it all buttoned up. But like I said, this is taking like 4 hours, days gone. And yeah, stuffed, absolutely stuffed. But once the gearbox is in, we'll get it all buttoned up. Like I said, trying to get it rolling, trying to get it started. Might not all happen today, but will happen in this video. Just an absolute pain in the ass. And the gearbox is in, all buttoned up. So it ended up being that we were fighting a slightly mushroom spigot bush. So big shout out to Skinny. If you've been in the Brisbane car scene a long time, you might know Skinny. He's been around for a while. He had a spare spigot bush and a spigot bush tool. So we put a new one in and the box went straight in. So knew it had to be something. Shame we fought it for 4 hours, but the box is in. Gonna get everything buttoned up underneath, put it on the trailer, take it home, and then I'll get it finished. As you can see, back in the garage now. I'm not going to lie, it has been a couple of months since we last worked on the car. Sort of once I realised it wasn't all going to come together and be running over sort of the Christmas New Year holiday, once the car got home I sort of lost all motivation to work on it. So it has just been sitting, which is a bit of a shame, but gave me some time to catch up on some other things and do some yard work and stuff like that. But have been slowly chipping away at the car. Off camera, just doing odd jobs and things that needed to be finished. So we are obviously getting closer to getting this thing running. I still am hoping to get it running in this video. But yeah, getting closer. So power steering and stuff is all done now. I've got belts on, all the lines are made. All the aircon's in, so all the aircon stuff is in, all the cooler pipes are on. So if you recall in a previous video, I said I had all my cooler pipes powder coated black. I decided to go with like a brushed finish on the uppers. So this one got paint stripped and has been brushed, and I've got a new intake to go in here that'll be brushed as well. Slowly getting to the point now to pull the plugs out and obviously wind it over and get oil pressure. Radiator needs to go in for it to run and idle, but yeah, getting close. I've also tidied up the wiring in my boot, so that's all sort of done now, rewrapped and run neatly around both sides. So I'm at the point where I'm ready to put my floor sheet in. So if you remember, I made a solid alloy floor piece that my battery mount and everything goes through, and this has a carpet to go over it. So this can go in the car, mount the battery, and then that's in to stay. So once we're ready to sort of wind the car over, get oil pressure, get fuel pressure, the battery's in ready to go. So I'm gonna jump in and do this now. All right, boot interior all done. Might be a little bit hard to see on camera with the lighting, but floor mat in, and obviously the brand new carpet. Managed to get the battery in. All the wiring is now in neatly to stay. Once it's outside in the sun, obviously you'll be able to see it a lot better. So now that's done, I was sort of tinkering on the front. Got the rebuilt throttle linkages back on. That is just a temporary throttle bridge while mine's getting rebuilt. So now I'm ready to get the radiator in. Tank's got powder coated and I've got a brand new shroud. I'm pretty sure I bought that for my Laurel. Obviously it was like R32 or suit RB28, and I've never used it, so it should fit on the GTR. So I'm going to use that now and get the radiator in, get the fan on, and then just about ready to pull coil packs, pull plugs, wind it over, get oil pressure, put some fuel in it and try and start it for the first time. So get these together, get these in, and yeah, slowly getting there, closer and closer. Getting serious now. Tricky couple of days, finally got it fired up. It's got that first start up, so I'm stoked. We were fighting some sort of trigger issue. We couldn't quite work out what it was. When we plugged the crank angle sensor in and spun it by hand, the injectors were firing and we had spark. So we knew it was something to do with the trigger kit. Checked all the wiring, checked the pins, everything seemed okay. Pulled the upper trigger out this morning. Appeared to be fine. Checked the bottom one, very hard to see, but through a small window I could see that there was a big gap. So the gap on the lower cherry sensor was way too big. it was tight. So I think what's happened is as I've put the cherry sensor in, it's bound up. I've wound it back one whole rotation and nipped it tight as it says to. But because it was binding tight on the thread, it wasn't actually bottoming out where it was supposed to. So the lower cherry sensor had a huge gap, and it wasn't getting the signal that it needed. So I pulled that out this morning. We've redone the wiring, the trigger kit's back in. Set the timer with the timing light, and obviously it fired up. So that's why the radiator and everything's back out. We'll get it running smoothly, and then I can put the coil pack cover and everything back on. The other night when we're trying to get it started and we're winding it over, we noticed a little bit of water inside the car. So the heater core that I've got actually has a leak. It was secondhand, if you remember. My mate Nick gave me one. Trying to get away with it, didn't think there was anything wrong with it. And anyway, now I've just got to pull it back apart. So no biggie, but I've got a brand new one to put that in. A few final little touches. I'll keep working on the vehicle, trying to get all these little things done, get the radiator back in. I want to get the exhaust on because the exhaust isn't on. It's just a dump at the moment, so it's quite loud. Get the exhaust on, get the tower shaft in, put some oil in the transfer case, etc. Sort of so we can wind it over. Still got quite a few little things to do. Tidy up these things, change the heater core, put the radiator back in, etc. Got to get the feeler gauge out. We've got to set the throttle linkages. I'm pretty sure I mentioned the linkages are back on and that bridge is just temporary for the moment while mine gets rebuilt. But want to heat cycle this thing up. Gonna rev it a bit. Obviously, like, the head's all brand new. The motor's been rebuilt, so essentially sort of all new. But like new valves, new buckets, etc. All DLC coded from when I had the head done. So sort of want to not let it idle, but we want to keep the revs moving, keep it turning over. We've got oil pressure's fine, so not too stressed. Just want to get that first heat cycle in, but just absolutely stoked to sort of hear it run and see it coming together after what I think is 2 years or a bit over 2 years now. So I'll keep tinkering, get all these odd jobs done, and then hopefully we'll start her up again. Alright, car's back on the ground now. Bled the Altezza, tail shaft in, exhaust on, bolt checked underneath. So just chipping away at it a bit more. I have remade my intake, gone for that sort of alloy polished look. This was my original one that I did have powder coated with all the rest of the pipes. I just sort of didn't really like the 90 degrees straight off the turbo, the way it was sitting. With the Pro Mod manifold, obviously the turbo is sitting forward and already on a bit of a 45-degree angle. I just didn't really like the way the pod sat, so I've remade that. Just breaking all the black up with a little bit of silver in the middle of the blue, obviously. Want to get it started up again, make sure it's idling nice. Check for any leaks. We need to double check the timing again, just sort of fine tune it. Want to get it running nice, getting closer and closer to getting on the road. Heat cycle all done and dusted. Let it warm right up. No leaks, fluid wise anywhere. A little bit of a vacuum leak or something somewhere. So we'll dive in and check that out. We put the bonnet back on last night just so I can start putting this thing back together. But all in all, really, really happy. Great to hear the car for the first time in a bit over 2 years. Timely process, but I'm so happy it is slowly starting to all come back together. So now the engine's done and it should move under its own power. I haven't tried yet. I'm dying to get into the interior and get the interior back in this thing, slowly completing the car and getting it all back together. There is heaps more GTR content to come. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.